we're going to jump into some more E3 related announcements. So this week's big E3 topics, we're going to be spending time talking about what Sony and Square Enix are bringing to E3. But as we were planning that, three major things happened. That two of them happened today, and one's actually happening tomorrow. Sony had a state of play for Horizon Forbidden West today out of nowhere, which we will talk about in a minute. Dying Light got a new update with a release date, and Far Cry 6 is getting a worldwide gameplay reveal tomorrow. So to make everything kind of flow a little better, we're going to start with Far Cry 6, and I just want to quickly just get, do you guys have any expectations going into this Far Cry 6 reveal?
No.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it an expectation. I'm kind of curious to see where they'll go after, because I think the last Far Cry that they put out was New Dawn, which was like a follow-up to 5.
Yep.
And, you know, that sort of had like a big emphasis on gathering resources to boost this. I wouldn't really call it city building, but you had to gather these resources to build up different parts of the infrastructure of like your base. I'm just curious if they're going to leave that in the realm of like Far Cry 5, or if they're going to try and kind of build upon that in Far Cry 6. I don't know exactly how they would do that with the story that they've kind of set up so far. So I don't know. It's, in a way, I'm kind of concerned that if they don't do something like that, it's going to feel like a step back. But if they do something like that, I don't see how it'll work with the game as is, or at least is what we know about it so far.
Right. My only question with it is, like, is the kid going to be the main bad guy? Like, I don't think the guy who plays, I can't think of it. He's in Breaking Bad. Giancarlo Esposito, I think that's how you say it. Juan Carlo, I don't know how you say it. But I don't think he's the main antagonist. I think he kind of just sits back, and his son, as an adult, is the main antagonist of the game.
All right,
Or
so
he's a clone.
I was about to say, I read something. So this isn't, I don't think this was like a confirmed thing, but you play as a like a reporter or like a media person,
or a like whole meme of a person,
or activist. You're kind of related in that manner, but time frame wise, the Espingarlo, or I can't think of his name either.
I want to say it. I don't know if you pronounce it Giancarlo or Juan Carlo, but it's one of those, and I don't. Esposito is his last name.
During the time frame of the game, he's still in power and his son's still little. So that's not to say it couldn't be like you're saying, but if it is, then the kid's going to be leading the country at what, 11, 12?
Unless there's a like time jump.
13 or maybe.
Could be a time
or unless he's wrong, because no, the guy said that during that time he's still a kid. So I don't know. Maybe you kidnapped the kid.
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, Far Cry usually likes to kind of bend the envelope on stuff. I know when Far Cry 4, when I finished that, I felt dirty. I didn't know if I was the good guy or the bad guy, or if what I had done was great. It was a lot of gray lines with Far Cry 4.
Isn't there
just like Skyrim?
Isn't there an achievement for like when the game starts in Far Cry 4, you just do nothing and then the game ends?
Yes. Yeah. It's you go meet the guy and you sit down to eat some crab rangoon, and he tells you not to go anywhere, and then he leaves, and then the game starts. It kind of leads you to get up and go out. But if you don't, you just sit there. He'll come back in, and then he'll tell you what you need to know, and then that's it. That's the end of the game.
That's beautiful.
Easiest gamer score you could ever get. All right, let's jump now to Dying Light 2, which I think probably has to be my most anticipated game of 2021, other than Breath of the Wild. Richard, you were talking in the chat earlier about how you think you may have to go back and play Dying Light 1 after watching this.
You know, I had a question because I know you were really into it. I remembered now why I passed over Dying Light. I was under the impression that it was... All right, it wasn't like Call of Duty, but it was like Call of Duty in the sense that you don't play it for the single player, you just play it for the multiplayer, because the single player aspect is really small and not really the meat of the game.
Yeah.
And that may be the case. I don't know. I would ask, is that the case?
No, Dying Light, they recently added a multiplayer, like it's like a PvP VE, so you're like, it's humans fighting humans, but there's infected around. But that's never been the premise of the game. It's been the running through the campaign of the game, but you can do it with up to 4 players.
Gotcha.
So,
okay, yeah. So
it is really fun.
It's a first person zombie survival RPG. So you have full skill trees. With I think in the new one there's going to be branching paths down it, but in the first one it's very plain.
Yeah, because they talked about the different factions and stuff that, and decisions there was a lot of stuff that I found very appealing.
Mm-hmm.
In what was revealed. So I may actually go back and revisit Dying Light.
So you can get the base game for about $10 if you buy it digitally, but they did announce that there is going to be, I want to say it's called the Platinum Collection, which is every DLC for Dying Light in one bundle. I don't know. It's probably going to be $60 if you wanted to do that. But all you really need to get going is the Dying Light base game and the following DLC, which you only have to buy that up front. And that DLC is like $20 by itself. But that's the additional story, and they have a bunch of different packs. They've got crossover stuff. They got a Left 4 Dead crossover. So they added all the melee weapons. It's very like the game kind of forces you to do a lot of melee combat, and then you get access to guns later once they think that you've kind of gotten your fill of the melee weapons in the game. But it's very fun. It's a fast-paced game. As you've probably seen in the trailer, there's parkour elements to it. This game looks like it's added a paraglider. I guess every game's going to adopt the paraglider method now. In the first game, you got a grappling hook at the thing at like level 12, and it literally turned you into Spider-Man. Like you could just look at a building and jump and hit the grappling hook, and it would pull you to that, and then you could just jump and grab another building and just zip around the map. It was so fun. It still is fun.
Let's check that out.
It still is fun. But of course, the big thing that separates this game from like every other zombie games is that like when it's nighttime outside is when all hell breaks loose, and it really does. Like the infected in this game are relentless, especially at night, because you can't see shit. They are weak to like UV lights, but they don't like go very far, so it doesn't really help your field of view. But if they get too close to you, you can stun them to get them off of you. But man, in my opinion, the first game is one of those modern masterpiece games. But I'm also really big into zombie games, so I could go on and on about this. But
I will check it out.
It's a lot of fun, especially if you play on PC, because you can mod the zombies to be Barney and the typical modding community where as soon as a game comes out, somebody is getting turned into Thomas the Tank Engine and
the Tank Engine and Barney.
Yeah, like poor Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. Man, she got 10 minutes to herself before somebody turned her into Thomas. The poor thing.
I think my favorite mod of that so far is where her hat slowly gets bigger.
Yeah, I saw that one. Have you seen that,
favorite.
Richard?
I have not.
Every time it's like a mod where every time you look at her hat grows bigger. It just expands out.
It amazes me, like the obsession with that character, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like that. It's almost like when you hear about Resident Evil Village, everybody wants to talk about Lady D, but then when you play it, you realize just the small part that she's in. Like it blows me away.
I saw. I actually have a screen recorded. I haven't sent it over yet. I saw it on iFunny. It was a clip where someone had I guess it's the scene, and I'm not trying to spoil anything. So take if you don't want to hear anything about Resident Evil Village, just cover your ears for about maybe 2 minutes. But there's a scene where it has all of the main villains and Mother Miranda, and I guess you're handcuffed or something, and they're all bickering back and forth at each other, and but someone went over the voice work and they changed it to where Lady Dimitrescu is getting on to the old man, I can't remember what his name is, about how he doesn't own Uno for the Xbox 360. And they're just yelling at him like, what do you mean you don't have Uno for the 360? Everyone got Uno for the 360. You stupid man thing.
Oh, that's fucking great.
It is great. All right, let's jump over. We'll use this as a segue to get into the PlayStation stuff for E3. Today, kind of kick things off with a Horizon Forbidden West state of play, which, if you are not familiar, this game is, well, one, it's a gorgeous set piece and a next-gen showcase for Sony going forward. I'm trying to make sure the video is not like all zoomed out funny like the other ones were. Sorry if you're an audio listener. So I didn't actually have time to sit through and watch this entire presentation. The game looks so much better than the first one did. And if you have played Horizon Zero Dawn, you will know that Aloy, who's the main character, her facial animations and just everything about her sometimes looks really goofy, and they look like they fixed a lot of that stuff, at least from what they've shown off so far in this. But it looks like you're going to be expanding outward from the main area of the game, and she's got a lot of new gear with her, and including a hook shot and a paraglider. So again, keeping with that trend of all the
paraglider,
every new game, Zelda paved the way for every game to have paragliders. Are going to be coming to Elder Scrolls.
Of anything that it could inspire, the paraglider.
You know, they actually originally intended to have the hook shot in Breath of the Wild, but they cut it because they were like, no, people should climb stuff instead. Like, no, give me the hook shot.
The hook shot would have been really convenient.
Or the double claw shot. That's what I want. So anyway, the video you're seeing, if you're watching the video version, is this is the entire presentation for the state of play for Horizon Forbidden West. Like I said, the game looks visually gorgeous. Just looking at this stuff, it's got more of a like coastal approach to it instead of being like in the same like wooded area with mountains on it. And as we've talked about before, they've kind of made it to where the game is completely like open world. So you can climb everything now. You can't just like look at a mountain and be like, boy, I wish I could just clip my way up that thing. You can, anywhere you go, pretty much you can climb up it. They're going to have lots of new monster varieties, lots more human enemies in the game. I imagine the core mechanics are staying the same. This is actually about where I got in the trailer for it. I was like, oh, I have a podcast to record, so I didn't really watch anything past this. Plus, I'm also trying not to spoil myself too much because I would like to go into this game as blind as possible.
Robot raptors.
Yeah, like you get to like ride them and stuff. Like you unlock the ability in the first game to turn the different beasts into your pets or your steeds or whatever you want to call it. I'll tell you what though, and Richard, you said you haven't played the first one, right?
Yeah, I have not. I bought the complete, so I mean I have it with. And actually, I watched this and I went ahead and downloaded it to my PS5. So.
Gotcha.
This is going to be queued up soon. The first one.
I will say that it's. I don't really think this is a spoiler. Plus, the game. Within we have a rule that if a game's out for 5 years, you can't really spoil it anymore. So
yeah.
There's a type of. I guess you call it a dinosaur. It kind of looks like a stegosaurus, big long neck thing, but it's got a satellite dish for a head, and the thing is just walking around. It's got a little path it walks around. But the first time I saw that thing, I was just blown away by like how big it was. And like you have to climb to the top of it. And like, it takes a little bit to actually scale to the top of this gigantic creature. But it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting something. I imagine if you played something like Shadow of the Colossus or any game where there's these gigantic creatures in it, you're not going to have that same, opinion on that like I did, but I don't really play those types of games. And I think isn't there like not a disease, but like a condition where people are like afraid of things that are just monstrously big. I think I'm thinking of that.
I think
that's the problem I have with women. Okay.
I know, like for me, like the creatures in the ocean that are monstrously big are absolutely terrifying.
Oh, that's another thing. They added like actually there's something right there. Big old monstrous creature in the ocean. They added the ability to swim. You have something like a face goggles or something that allow you to breathe underwater, which
That
is
looks like a
something
giant alligator.
which is something that I hope that they add to Breath of the Wild 2. So hopefully they can learn something from this game instead. So, anyway, if you want to see the full Horizon Forbidden West state of play, it is on all over the internet, on Sony and all the major news media's YouTubes and stuff like that. Let's jump from there over to the other games that may be shown off for E3 for PlayStation. We'll start with PlayStation, then we'll go to Square because there's a lot of games for Square, and we know that there's about 25 PlayStation 5 exclusive games in development, but we only really know about 2 other ones, being God of War Ragnarok, which I thought was the official name of the game, but come to find out that is just a name that people have given it, and that is not the actual name of the game. So, but we're going to keep calling it God of War Ragnarok. Gran Turismo 7, and as far as PlayStation first-party IPs, that's it as far as stuff that we know about that's coming sometime soon. On this list, I did put that they may share some more Horizon Forbidden West details because it was really weird that they didn't give a release date, which makes me think that maybe Horizon's going to end up being their holiday title and God of War got delayed out of this year, which seems like a very feasible thing to have happened. And then just stuff that may show up at their event, Call of Duty 2021. They've got the exclusivity for marketing for Call of Duty games for probably another 3 years. And then I think, this is just me going on a whim here, I think they're finally going to show off the PSVR 2, like the headset, and some new games and some new games for it. Because they showed off the controllers back in like February, just out of the blue. They're like, "Hey, here's a PlayStation blog post. We thought you might like to see these controllers," and that's been the end of it. Are there any games from PlayStation that either one of you would like to see show up that aren't on this list? First party or third party games that are exclusive for PlayStation?
I don't know. I have a gut feeling that it looks kind of slim with their first party offerings and stuff like that. I kind of think there's going to be a couple of surprises in there. Maybe new IPs because I think we talked about it a little bit last week. How Sony Studios has like 25 or 30 different things in development right now.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like they're gonna take the opportunity at this E3, which I don't. Did they ever say they were coming to E3? Are we
So this is the thing, is that they have not confirmed to be at E3, but it's likely they're expected to have some kind of presentation.
More likely they'll have something. I don't know if we'll see God of War Ragnarok either. Simply, I mean, we may get maybe like a teaser trailer or something, but I do think that's probably next year, not this year. Gran Turismo 7, that may be this year. That might be a fall thing. I do think the holiday will be about Horizon, but I think there's going to be a lot of surprises that they're going to come with. I think a lot of the stuff that we are going to see are probably going to be new IP stuff, and they're just going to kind of maybe push the PS5 up. This is what we're going to do. This is what you have to look forward to, and really take that opportunity to really push forward with what Sony Studios is doing. But it's kind of hard to guesstimate on what that's going to be, simply because I think the majority of it's going to be just new stuff.
That, and maybe we'll finally get the update for the M.2 SSDs for the PlayStation. They'll just drop it at E3. Yeah. And then there'll be a massive shortage on M.2 hard drives, and I won't be able to find one. Michael, anything to add to that list? I know you don't even have a PlayStation 5, but I mean, any PlayStation exclusives you'd like to see show back up on the PS5 that's not listed? Like your little big planets. I know stuff like Killzone probably not going to be there. I know that it got rated already. But the game that used to be a former Xbox exclusive through Insomniac, that is, Insomniac is now owned by PlayStation. Sunset Overdrive got rated for PS4 and PS5 here recently. So that will be a exclusive that Xbox has lost to
There we go.
to them. So there may be a Sunset Overdrive 2, because the article I was reading, I can't remember where it came from. Apparently, Insomniac has 3 development teams that are constantly, chugging out games. That's why we got Miles Morales so early, and we got Ratchet and Clank, and then the other team apparently has been working on porting Sunset Overdrive over to the PS5. So which means that it's back in the rotation of the Spider-Man team being the next one to drop a game out, probably.
I'll say this. Now it's not first party, so I mean it could go either way. They could do something with PlayStation. They could do something with Microsoft. I don't care, because it'd be multi-platform. But I mean, I'd like to see something new from Rockstar. Something that we've not seen in the past 10 years would be nice. I don't know if they will or not. They probably won't. But I mean, I kind of got my fingers crossed that something, some little nod in some direction that's not Grand Theft Auto 5.
We didn't get to talk about it last week, but in case everyone was living under a rock last week, they did confirm that GTA 5 and GTA Online will be coming to the Series X and PS5 in November with a new update and more features added and new locations, which was the big one. So maybe they're adding that we talked about before, about how they may add like new servers to accommodate new areas to the game. Sounds like something that may actually be happening.
Just put them behind paywalls.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is.
I want to look up how much money GTA Online's made. I have a guy I work with who said every time he gets paid, he buys anywhere from a $20 to $100 shark card and just dumps it into GTA Online.
That blows me away. It really does.
It's a lot of dumb money out there. All right, so we'll switch gears from PlayStation to talk about Square Enix. So we got a list of games that are in development and some DLC to talk about, and then a couple of rumored games. And there's one of them on this list that I think really is going to resonate with Richard a lot.
Oh yeah, if it's true.
Yeah. So just to go through a couple of these first ones, Life is Strange: True Colors. That doesn't have a release date, but it is in development. Forspoken, which is a game that they showed off during the original PS5 showcase, which back then it was called Project Athia. That game looks awesome. Final Fantasy 16. It is a timed exclusive for PS5. I think it's got a 1-year exclusivity. Maybe it's 2. Maybe this is the one that's got a 2-year exclusivity. So that, I'm sure will be there. It'd be in the show somehow or another. New DLC for Outriders and Avengers. I think Avengers just got a Black Widow DLC. I think I saw. Is that right?
I think so.
It was something.
I know Black Panther's the big one that's coming.
I swear I saw something about like a Black Widow DLC. It looked like it was a tie-in for the movie. Unless it was just like fan art or something.
Yeah, I guess. Let me see what this is. Yeah, this is a Black Widow event going on right now. Looks like.
Gotcha. And so, at the last State of Play, they showed off Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which was I'm probably gonna butcher all this. The Yuffie storyline DLC.
No.
For I think that's what it was. But anyway, there's
One Piece?
Isn't that Luffy? Okay. But anyway, I don't know. But anyway, Michael, I really love your sucker.
It's a Mexican sucker. It's not sweet. Hot mango.
Hot mango. Nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's got like tagine all over a mango flavored sucker. I thought it was gonna be soft, but no, it's a hard sucker. And it says, "Hey, good looking."
It speaks to you like the hot sauce at Taco Bell. So yeah, but we may see Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 show up. And I forgot to put it on the list, but it's not a PlayStation like exclusive, but Project Triangle Strategy, which we talked about earlier. I'm sure that's going to show up. That's actually got a demo available on all platforms if you want to try that out. It's one of those HD 2D RPGs. So pretty much taking the tried and true triangle, literally a triangle strategy that I don't know which game implemented. The first one I think of is Fire Emblem, which had it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors type of combat system. So that's got a lot of that in there. And then the big rumored games, like I said, the one I think Richard's going to really be about, Final Fantasy Origins, a Souls-like Final Fantasy game from Team Ninja. Sounds like it's right up Richard's alley.
Oh, yeah. The thing that throws me off is the name Final Fantasy Origins. Like, origins of what?
It's supposed to, the thing I've seen, it's supposed to be like a game that pretty much takes place either during or it is Final Fantasy 1.
Oh, okay.
But as a Souls game.
Because, the first few Final Fantasies, they seem to kind of revolve around crystals. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess, if you went at it from like a Legend of Zelda perspective, you could somehow build a timeline. But then, from Final Fantasy, I think maybe around 4 or 5 on beyond that, they were hit or miss with the crystal thing. So I don't think you can really chain that together as one series, but I mean, story wise. So the Origins throws me off. But yeah, I mean, if it's going to be like a retelling of the very first one, I don't know. Here's the thing: Souls they're either done extraordinarily well or they're done extraordinarily poorly. So I'm anxious to see it because Team Ninja is that the Ninja Gaiden crew?
I'm pulling it up right now. I was really curious to see which Souls games that they have been a part of. They did Ninja Gaiden, Dead or Alive, and Neo.
Oh, so they did Neo as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Neo was difficult.
And Metroid Other M.
Oh, okay.
Just in case anybody was curious. Oh, and they did were they responsible for the Warriors games?
Wow, yeah, Hyrule Warriors. They developed
Warriors
that with Omega Force.
And Fire Emblem Warriors and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order for Switch.
Okay, so
they got a nice track record here.
If it's true, then I mean, the fact that they did Neo alone, Neo was, I said they're either really poorly done or really well done. So with Neo, yeah, then they exactly know what they're doing. So I would be anxious to see that.
Cool. And then lastly, this is just somebody probably just spitballing on the internet, but a new Tomb Raider game coming out. And historically, Tomb Raider games have been, at least at first, exclusive to Xbox, and then they come out on everything else. That's how Rise and Shadow of the Tomb Raider were. I don't know if that's going to be how that's going to play out or not, but I don't even know if that's going to be there. But it's just something that somebody put out there. So I was like, well, maybe those Tomb Raider fans can, will it into existence if they want to. But that's going to do it for all of the news and headlines and our Sony and Square at E3 discussion.